What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sit Down with Sid podcast. This is episode number 35. Our guest today is the owner of Lancashire Hemp Farms in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where he has spent the past 2 years growing hemp and building a co-op with local farmers to grow CBD flower for the smokable hemp market. Without further ado, let me welcome Caleb Kauffman. Hi, Caleb. How's it going?
Good. I'm doing really good today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for giving us this opportunity to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Caleb, before we kind of dive into the podcast, would you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, etc.?
Yeah, that would be great. So I was born and raised here in Lancaster County. So, this is part of my heritage. My last name is Kauffman. So for those who are not familiar with the area, that comes from a Amish descent. So, my heritage, great-grandparents would have been Amish. So come from a pretty conservative background here and grew up in the area. And, right now wanted to get back into farming. So that's kind of what I've been, working on the last several years.
Perfect. So you also have an ice cream business. Tell us, how did you pivot from that into the Lancashire Hemp Farms project?
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit of an entrepreneur. I love dreaming. I love creating and manifesting ideas. So the ice cream business was one of the first ones that, kind of came to me and I felt was, a good business venture. So it's something I talked with my partner, Sarah, my brother, Ben, and his wife, Lindsay, and we all really liked the idea. So we started that in 2015 together. So it's a little bit of a family business, kind of a mom and pop. We have a creamery. We make our own ice cream, have an ice cream truck. So yeah, that's doing well. It's been going, since 2015. It was something I enjoyed doing and creating. And then it came to a point where I felt, with my gifts and talents and what I'm good at and find fulfillment, pennies kind of no longer needed a creator, a visionary. So that's why I eventually then started looking into cannabis.
So what inspired you to start growing cannabis on your farm?
Yeah, that really came out of my own personal journey and experience. So a little bit of my history, I was diagnosed with PTSD in my late 20s, early 30s, after I remembered that I was sexually abused as a child. So that's something that, my brain had disassociated from. And so when that kind of came back into memory and light, I had a lot to deal with. So I started going to counseling. That's when I first learned about CBD. Obviously, I knew about THC and cannabis, but CBD kind of was just coming into the market. So I started using CBD products. I immediately was like affected in such a positive way. It was kind of like a light switch. It just really helped change my mental health, gave me a path to healing with counseling. And that's what really got me passionate about wanting to get into the cannabis space.
So Caleb, would you mind telling the people who do not know what is the difference between a CBD and a THC, or a little bit background on what is a CBD and a THC?
Yeah, good question. So I like to phrase it as, we'll have to go by some definitions that, the government gives us. But basically, if you think about cannabis is the, kind of the genre, just like apples. You have red apples, you have green apples, different colors, they're all apples. So cannabis is similar, where it has cannabis hemp and cannabis marijuana. So cannabis marijuana naturally produces those high levels of THC, and that is a psychoactive compound, that does psychoactive affect you, where CBD, it comes from hemp, and cannabis hemp produces higher percentages of CBD naturally. So that is kind of the difference. CBD is a non-psychoactive cannabinoid, meaning you're not going to have any sort of high associated, but you're going to get the benefits from your endocannabinoid system, and it interacts with your body in that way.
So pretty much THC is something that you can get high on, but on the other end, CBD is something that you will not, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, that's a pretty kind of like a good basic definition of THC will get you high, CBD will not get you that psychoactive high.
So let me ask you now, is the CBD and THC components safe to use that's produced from the cannabis hemp and cannabis plant itself?
Yeah, in my opinion and personal experience, I can definitely say yes. I've been using cannabis with CBD THC for years now, and I've had a really beautiful journey of healing. And it's given me, again, a way to find healing and put words to things in difficult spaces. And I would say, even from a physical health standpoint, it's kept me very just like active, physically well, brings balance to my body. So yeah, I definitely stand behind the kind of the safety concerns of cannabis, as well as if we look to just the history of humans. Cannabis has been around for thousands of years.
Right.
There's no known medical research that had negative implications.
Perfect. I'm going to take you back to one of your quotes, which I read.
Yeah.
Quote, cannabis has changed my life. I first started using CBD and THC a couple of years ago. And I immediately noticed how improved my mental life became. Would you mind telling us what effects did it have on you on the positive forefront? And since using that, how has your life changed now versus pre-using it?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go into some detail. So, with PTSD, what I experienced difficulty with, was connecting honestly to my own body, because I did disassociate, via trauma, and that happened in an early childhood age. So some of my neurological pathways would be wired differently than, let's say, someone that hasn't experienced that trauma. So for me, using CBD THC, it helps connect different neurological pathways, which, put very simply, it helps me express my emotions. I was able to work through feelings and things that had been stuck and disassociated with, because cannabis was opening up those neurological pathways. It was opening up my body. And so for me, it helped me process, helped me put words to emotions, gave me the courage to even kind of say those things out loud at different points in time. And it really was something that helped me connect to myself and also to others.
Okay, great. The reason I asked you this question is because, there is this perception, or if you do CBD or something like that, hey, how do you feel? For people like myself, I don't do CBD and THC. So it's just my curiosity to know, how do you feel? Is it an elevated feeling? Is it like, you're in a happy in a happy space or so forth?
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your co-op. So you actually built a co-op with local Amish farmers in Pennsylvania. How does that collaboration came in existence? Would you mind giving us a little detail on that?
Yeah. So in 2019, I had started Lancashire by myself. I had 1,000 square foot greenhouse, did a little micro grow. Then the second year, I wanted to, as I was integrating, first year, was just reaching out in my network locally here. And I heard that there were some Amish farmers that were getting into hemp. So that was intriguing. I have a, tight kind of connection with the Amish community, again, because just growing up here, having just that in my circle. So I reached out and started chatting with one guy in specific, Chet Lapp, and he's actually part of Lancashire still, and he is from the Amish community. And Chet and I just really became good friends, and we said, wow, if we come together, we could form a co-op. He had a bunch of farmers that he was networked with, that he said were looking for direction and just some guidance. So we came together and formed a co-op with about 15 different Amish farmers in the area. And we kind of created a pathway, and we facilitated, all right, if you guys grow this, we'll all come together. We'll sell this under the Lancashire name, and then we're going to try to create, a fair hemp market within our own little community here.
So is this something like a shareholder basis system? Like in a corporation, you have different shareholders who come as investors and work on the same project simultaneously?
We have had investors into Lancashire, and then a lot of the, I guess we'll say, team members here are shareholders, because my mentality has always been, it's more of a socialistic capitalism. I want to make some money. We all need to do business, but I think we need to be sharing that equally. So as we were building Lancashire, that was something that was important to me, was anyone that's a key member here should really have some shares in the company, because I feel like that's fair. So yeah, there are quite a few, team members here that are shareholders in Lancashire.
So how much space of farm do you have? I know you started with 1,000 square foot. So now with this co-op, what are we looking at in terms of square footage?
Yeah, so the way we set it up is different micro farms. So we will choose, how much we would want other farmers to plant. In the last year or two, we haven't had a lot of other farmers grow because there's still a surplus. But basically, each farmer has their own permit, has their own micro farm, and then my job is to help get plants delivered to their door, help with the planting, and kind of manage the whole process. And then we also have land here at our shop at Lancashire. And last year, for example, we did 2 acres here. This year, we'll probably do maybe an acre, a little more, plus a hoop house.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you, Caleb, I'm also curious to know about this. I mean, this business is considered to be a lucrative business. That's the perception in the.
That is the perception, yes.
Yes. So my thing is, now, do you need a special kind of a permit, special kind of a skill to grow a cannabis plant, or special kind of farming school or something? Tell us more. I'm curious to know, how does the background work on this one?
Yeah, so it's going to go state by state, since we do have, federal farm bill was signed in 2018. So federally, we can grow hemp, on that level, but then states will implement what that looks like. So for the state of Pennsylvania specifically, getting a hemp permit's not that difficult. You fill out a couple pages, you pay your permit fee, and then you are legally allowed then to grow hemp within certain parameters, as long as you follow testing requirements, submitting your reports on time. So it's a little bit of a process, but it's definitely doable.
So since you mentioned about testing, I want to ask you if you have any in-house laboratory, or do you do a third-party testing? What are your compliance levels, and how do you manage all of this, at Lancashire Hemp Farms?
Yeah, so right now we do third-party lab testing because we want to be, at a medical grade. So we actually send our products to one of 6 medical marijuana testing facilities in the state of Pennsylvania. So that's what we do. And we're just, trying to be as transparent as possible, because this is a plant-based medicine. And, we stand behind what we produce. We're not going to sell anything that I personally wouldn't feel good about consuming. So yeah, we have a pretty high standard, but it's kind of, we create our own bar, because right now, technically in the industry, the state of Pennsylvania, for example, does not even require third-party testing, but we put that standard on ourselves.
But a certification is a must for any farm that grows CBD. Am I correct?
No. So now,
okay.
it's an odd place because it is a new industry and a lot of the laws still haven't been formed. So right now there is no state required testing for retail products in the CBD space.
So tell us, Caleb, a little bit about your farms. Tell our audience, what kind of products you are producing at the farm. Do you have your own labeling, your own manufacturing, or if you manufacture yourself and label somewhere else?
Sure.
Tell us more about your product line. I'm very curious to know as well.
Yeah, so we're not fully vertical integrated, but we are, I'd say, a good portion of probably over 50%. So what I mean by that is, like, we go from seed to retail product, not every product, but a lot of them. So, everything's hand planted here. So we hand plant, we hand trim, we hand harvest, we hand hang dry, and then we hand trim. So all of our flower is actually done right here on the farm, from growing to processing. And then that is also put into a retail ready bottle. So yes, we have our own brand, Lancashire Hemp Farms. We do retail ready products. A lot of those, again, we make right here. Anything that we don't have capabilities of making, some of the extraction things we're not quite ready for, we have a local lab that we partner with that's run by a Mennonite family. So we do extraction work with them, and then everything else we pretty much do in-house or work with a lab.
So do you guys do in-house sampling as well as bottling of the products, or is that something you use a third-party manufacturer?
No, for the actual testing and the certificates of analysis, we send those to third parties.
Sure. Sure. No, I'm talking about your products, so
Yep.
because I did notice you have a very pretty good line of products that you have. Now, do you sell them in any retail, or is it just all e-commerce and people can buy from your website?
Mainly we are actually in little retail shops. So we're probably close to 50 plus stores right now locally in our area, just
Okay.
different health and wellness or, different head shops. We're very big on just partnering with like-minded businesses in our backyard. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really probably the biggest way is find it. And then we do have a website. It's always great to have, direct kind of just connection with whoever's using the product. So that's always good. But yeah, LancashireHemp.com. We have a website as well.
And do you only sell domestically, or is that something you can sell internationally? I mean, I'm not familiar with the regulation on that. So tell
Yeah,
us a little bit. Is it just all domestic shipping within the United States?
most of ours is we are able to sell internationally. It'll come down then to the country's laws. So, it's even as a world, we're kind of in a space where countries are figuring out how they want to
Mm-hmm.
regulate cannabis. Obviously, laws are expanding and we're trying to be more inclusive. So some countries, they're the same as what we have in the States. So we can ship and sell, to a variety of countries. Right now, I know we are officially in Ecuador. We have a
Mm-hmm.
wholesale account there in a little beach town, which is kind of random and fun. But yeah, we're a little bit out of the States, but mostly we're selling, stateside.
And then you also have a lot of wholesalers. I mean, you did mention you have one in Ecuador, and you try to partner with a lot of wholesalers in the United States as well.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what we try to do with kind of our local stores, work with different wholesalers to get the product out there. We're really just trying to share the story, share what we have as a plant-based medicine. It also is really unique because you get to support a co-op of local Amish farmers. So yeah, we're just trying to share that story and, share the medicine.
It's funny you keep saying the medicine word, which is probably a good thing, but it's not perceived as a medicine,
It
amongst the
is.
masses.
And that's why I like to kind of reiterate that because there is a shift that needs to happen in the
Hmm.
kind of societal perception of what cannabis is. This is, again, it's a plant based medicine. In my opinion, it should be available over the counter, just like Tylenol. This is
Hmm.
something that can help people and that can really get, a clean way to help bring balance, to bring calmness and take away anxiety rather than, going after prescription medication.
So, Caleb, are there any side effects to this? Because if we get any medicine, it always says side effects. So,
Yeah,
do you guys have such thing also on your labels, or do you want to touch base on that with us?
sure. So what I can say is, so right now, there are no products that are federally approved by the
Mhm.
FDA. So
Okay.
obviously, that disclaimer is on all of our products because they haven't released any sort of regulations or guidelines about what that would look like. So we're eagerly awaiting because, as an industry and someone that wants to build a business, I would like to have guidelines because, I think there are good rules for a reason. So yeah, we're kind of hoping those will come about and bring some structure. But right now it is, it's just we kind of have that FDA disclaimer, and then we share our personal experiences. I have not had any negative side effects.
Mm-hmm.
For CBD, especially, you don't have your psychoactive component, so
Okay.
you're dealing with a lot less risk in a sense. You're going to feel some very calming body sensation, maybe just feel at peace, but it's not overwhelming. It's very minimal, so there's not a lot of side effects in my opinion.
Would you also mind telling us what is the average time duration from the moment you reap the seed of a cannabis plant to
Mm.
the moment when it's fully grown?
Yeah, so usually a seed to harvest is around a 90-day process. So it's not a very long growing season. But then, once I'd say it's pretty intensive where you're planting, you're doing lots of trimming and caring. It's a sensitive plant in that sense. So yeah, you got to do a lot of hand care, but 90-day, then we're harvesting. And then from there, though, it's still probably a couple weeks of hanging it, getting it dried, and then curing it. And
Hmm.
that's kind of the final phase.
So you're looking at 4 to 5 months, kind of,
Yep. Yeah.
including the
Around that
packaging
range.
and
Yeah.
okay. And what do you think about the industry? I know this industry has exploded exponentially over the last decade or so. From your own point of view, being one of the growers of this plant, what do you think where the industry is heading?
Man, I think the future is plant-based medicine in general. With cannabis and the research that's coming out, I do expect, this to be the future where, I have a daughter, she's 7. I'm going to say by the time she's my age, I think, cannabis will have been integrated into, kind of standard medicine, hospitals, doctors, and it will get to that level. And I think that's needed. And I'm very excited to help, be a part of that process and help bring education and awareness.
Great. I also have a couple of other questions I wanted to ask you is, do you believe that the hemp industry can usher in a new paradigm of good business practices that focuses on people's health rather than profits? If you think that's the way, I want to hear your point of view on that.
That's a tough question. Does it have the potential? Yes. That's why I'm in the space. I'm here to be a part of that, to say, hey, can we create an industry that does focus more on, humanity, and focuses on the individual, not on sales and numbers. That is tough because we're in real life. People do need to make a living.
Right.
But I think there is a way to do business and do business with kindness. And that's one of, our core mottos and values here at Lancashire is, we want to do business with kindness. There's a way where we can both make some money together, feel good about it. There's a way to give people plant-based medicine without overcharging. So, we're very inclusive in our thoughts. So I hope the industry goes that way, but to be honest, right now it's not. Corporate cannabis is kind of running the show. They are very focused on getting their numbers, getting their sales. There's not a lot of focus on the actual patient experience. There's not a lot of focus on the quality of the plant. It is slowly becoming commercialized. And that's a big part of what we're trying to do here at Lancashire is, be a voice to say, hey, let's not let the cannabis industry become another corporate America where the focus is on capitalism. This plant is different. It's special. It's a medicine. Let's use that to create an industry where we can actually care for people.
So how do you compete with these big corporates, as you said, corporate cannabis growers? How can someone like yourself go with a blue ocean strategy, kind of head on with such a big corporation?
It's been tough. It's been a long, slow road of just, really putting the work in, building relationships, I guess is the real answer. Again, we're not just about kind of the top dollar. We're about helping people on their journey. And that even goes to our wholesale customers. So every relationship we have is very, important to us. It's personal. So that's been our approach. How do we combat, somebody that has the money who can, push out a lot of product cheap, put good packaging on it? For us, it's been the opposite. We are slow and steady. We worked really hard to get our quality. And then we tell our story and we say, hey, this is why we're different. This is why, we have a kind of a higher standard, not just for products, but for our interactions with customers. So yeah, it's been a slow, tough approach.
Listen, the reason I asked you that question was, because I want to know what's the core competence of Lancashire Hemp Farms. If I was a wholesaler, if I was a retailer, or if I was a customer, I'm sure there are plenty of other people in the same space that are doing what you do. So
Sure.
what separates Lancashire Hemp Farms from the rest of the pack?
Yeah, I think it's going to come back to, again, our personal story as Lancashire. That comes back to my personal story. I'm going to say, the reasons that we are growing as a company and our mission statements, I would hope separates us to say, really focused on, again, just giving good plant-based medicine, being fair. So I guess it's our approach. There are a lot of companies out there that have been in the cannabis space because it's a place where you can make some quick money if you do it that way. If we wanted to, we could probably make more money taking, shortcuts and undercutting here or there. But that's definitely not our approach. It's not who we are as a company or as people here. So I think that's a difference for me.
So Caleb, I have a personal question and another one before we wrap this up. Who is your inspiration in life? Who inspired you to become an entrepreneur and go this route?
Wow. You know what? I don't have a single person that really inspired me to become an entrepreneur. I think it was just listening to my inner voice and kind of honoring and being like, hey, what I enjoy doing is creating, conceptualizing. But I guess as of now that I've kind of grown into this space over the years, I do really look up to Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. I do draw a lot of inspiration from him. I watched Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood growing up as a child, and that's something I believe that really stuck with me. So I do take that kind of approach to business and life. Is again, how do we just speak with kindness and love? So Mr. Rogers for sure is a big kind of inspiration for me at this point.
That is wonderful. Well, Caleb, as a closing statement, if there is any message you would like to give our audience, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I honestly don't even know. It's great to be here. It's great to connect. I guess for whoever's listening, thanks for your time. I appreciate you listening to the Lancashire story, which is a part of mine and also a greater story of just our community here. And I guess if you're looking, to purchase some CBD Delta 8 products that you can feel good about, that you know where it comes from, please check out LancashireHemp.com. We love your support. For us, we look at this, it's just kind of the fight against corporate cannabis, and we're just doing our part.
And then if people have any questions related to this, they can just reach out to you guys via your website, correct?
Yeah, you can hit us on the website. We also have Instagram, Facebook, so you can check us out there as well. And then we're doing lots of events this year. If you happen to be in Pennsylvania, you can look us up at some cannabis events.
Would you mind, we will put all the information of your links in the description, but would you also mind sharing your Facebook and Instagram username with our audience so they can connect with you?
Yep, I'll definitely do that.
Okay, perfect. Well, Caleb, thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a busy day, so I want to thank you very much for taking the time, coming on this podcast, sharing about your personal journey and letting us know more about the CBD industry, and about your farm. And we wish you all the very best, much success, and if there is something we can do for you, please definitely let us know.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And I guess just much love and peace to anyone out there on the journey. So I guess, if you're in a rough space, I guess I'll end with, there is hope, there is love, and there are good people out here. So yeah, connect with somebody, take care of yourself, and much love and peace to everyone.
Thank you so much, Caleb. I want to wish you a great day. Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much.